What it do, everybody? It's your boy King Crowder, checking back in with another gem of American history that we do not know, we do not discuss, and we're not taught in formal education. This one right here, this lesson goes down again with another gem on the red summer of 1919. This time, this situation happens in Elaine, Arkansas. Elaine, Arkansas had one of the bloodiest conflicts in Arkansas's history. This conflict took place in the Phillips County area of Elaine. And what happened between labor unions and race soldiers? So, for example, the conflict began September 30th of 1919. 100 black sharecroppers and the white landowners wanted to unionize in the county. The reason why they wanted to unionize is because of wages being stagnantly low, and they fought against it. So the blacks in the area chose to meet at Hoop Spur, 3 miles north of Elaine, at the churches around the area. The reason why they would meet at this church was to formally organize themselves, have a one voice, one structure, campaign, and have a direct line of imagery in ways they were going to petition the local, county, and the state of Arkansas to unionize as the American citizen rights. Remember, this was right around that time of end of World War I. So the black soldiers that came from fighting that war wanted their equal citizenship and rights that were duly owed to them from fighting in the military, were fighting against the, overseas battles. So they're returning back home saying, hey, we fought these battles. I'm going to be treated equally in my land as a U.S. citizen and soldier of America. It was a huge issue in America that we had to deal with, that we had people that were important enough to fight for us. But when they came back home to still face racial prejudice in the towns that most of them came from, it was a huge issue. Black males in that county were not accepting it and were making changes. So due to this area of Elaine having more of a greater black population than white, for example, for every one white person, that was 10 blacks in Elaine. That's a huge discrepancy in history that we do not talk about. So for the whites in the areas, the white supremacists in that area, to have that ideology that we're surrounded and overlooked, they put out messages through the newspaper and on local radio stations saying they're attacking us. It's a lot of them outbanning us in this area. So the whites in that area began to merge, or roughly 1,000 of them began to merge into the city of Elaine, going into a pitchfork, guns, ammunition. Now, when the local township got the word that the people in Elaine were being blitzed by the whites in that area, campaigning that an insurrection from the blacks was happening, the local government petitioned the U.S. Army to come in and cause peace. What they did not know is when the army got dispersed into that area, even though the army got peace and they restored earlier in that area, the U.S. soldiers that were racist and just went into the town of Elaine started attacking and killing black people in Elaine. Let me say this again. The blacks in that area began to face racial prejudice from U.S. soldiers. They began to get beat, tortured, and even lynched. U.S. soldiers went into Arkansas, Elaine, Arkansas, and lynched, tortured black citizens in that area around that time. When I read that information, I was blown away simply by knowing that soldiers did this on U.S. soil. Now, it was blatantly covered up by the white media in that area. It took actual black news reporters from the Memphis Times and other places to come in and vocalize, hey, they're actually harming the citizens in this area, because they kept it going down that no, it's not as bad as it once was. The violence ain't nothing happening. It's peaceful. But Colonel Isaac Jenkins said that, hey, no, he had to go to the Memphis Dispatch and say to people, no, they're actually attacking these. He had to go to the NAACP for them to actually, in New York, to actually make this a broad headwaves. Hey, this is going on in Elaine, Arkansas. They were all trying to sweep this under the rug. Reading this information, I was truly shocked by it. And even after the situation happened where they were being persecuted, within days, 285 blacks were taken out of stockades and placed in jail. They only had space for about 48 people in that jail, but they put almost 200 or something in one jail. What about the meals and how they would put it in there? The sleep coordinates, the sanitation. You know it had to be subpar. On the time of October 31st, mind you, around Halloween of 1919, 122 African-American black males in that area, crime stemming from racial discrepancies, were locked up and charged for murder and night riding and other terrorist acts. The next week, huge uproar in Little Rock and the NYC headquarters came down to Elaine and the other places in Arkansas to say, hey, the Elaine 12 that's being persecuted are not correctly. They're being jarred and justified under the law for crimes against humanity that were not committed and were falsely accused of. As this community began to fight and more issues, they had to go against the Confederate Army and petition the United States of America for their freedom. The one thing that was so shocking to me as I continue to read this is the multiple layers and the multiple level of retries that had to release rightly freed men from the state of Arkansas. So these men were freed already, persecuted incorrectly, and they had to prove that they were free. Not only did the U.S. soldiers attack them, the lands got burned, they were hunted down, they were tried and wrongfully convicted. One court case that really broke the mind of this, that really broke into it, if you really want to read more into it, is Moore v. Dempsey. It's a U.S. Supreme Court case. And if you read that case, it goes into the minute details of what happened. And it took until January 14th of 1925 for Thomas Rain to finally release the defendants, granting them furloughs of the second-degree murder charges. Even though this county still happened and is still a touchy issue, in 2019, a memorial site for those in West T Lane on September 2019 was finally put up. Almost 100 years, y'all. So this hugely bloodbath and death crimes happened. No one was arrested. No one was incarcerated. And no one was tried for these crimes. America's history could be bloody, but facing it and discussing it will always bring so much more clarity and character to it. It's kind of, brings you down to talk about this, but it just fills you up to let you know that blacks have been so resilient in America. The history should definitely be talked about and told, and I'm proud to tell it, one story at a time. Again, man, give you another gem of history that we did not know and we did not discuss. This your boy King Crowder checking out. I want to thank you for watching the channel. I want to appreciate anybody that gives me feedback as I'm starting and developing on my own. I'm still early on in the process, but I'm still hungry. I'm still ready to learn. I just want to tell you I'm thankful and I'm so appreciative. Continue to drop it in and let me know how you feel. Peace.